The lantern light wavered across the dusty street, a restless glow that caught the glint of rifles and the sweat on angry brows. Horses stamped, iron shoes striking sparks on the packed earth, while voices rose in a chorus of accusation. They had the man down on one knee, his hands bound, blood trailing from his temple, his breath ragged but still defiant. "Outlaw," someone spat, the word carried on the hot wind like a curse. The man's head tilted, not in shame but in the slow, stubborn refusal of one who would not beg. His eyes, though shadowed, still burned, dark embers holding on to something no rope could choke out. And that was when she broke the circle. Her boots struck the ground hard, her skirts tugged by the restless wind, voice cutting sharper than the sheriff's pistol. "Don't shoot him!" The cry stilled even the horses. "I'll take him home." The crowd twisted toward her, muttering, some sneering. She was not from their circle, not bound by their grudges, and her words carried both audacity and something like desperation. She stepped closer, chin raised though her pulse hammered in her throat. One of the men laughed, a dry, bitter bark. "He's worth more dead than under your roof. Why risk your good name, miss?" She felt the old ache in her ribs, a memory of nights when no one had stepped in to save her. That was reason enough. "Call him what you want," she answered, her voice steadier than she felt. "Name him outlaw, savage, devil himself. I see a man worth saving." The air thickened. Tension hung heavier than the dust, heavier than the bruised clouds crawling across the evening sky. The sheriff squinted at her as though measuring her mettle. His finger tapped the iron of his revolver, a dull rhythm against the chaos waiting to break. The man on his knees looked up at her then. A flicker crossed his battered face, surprise first, then something harder to read. Gratitude, distrust. The fire in his eyes dimmed just slightly, tempered with a strange, reluctant hope. She moved closer. Every step narrowed the space between herself and danger, every heartbeat louder than the low growl of thunder far off. She crouched, meeting the outlaw's gaze directly, her voice lowered to a whisper sharp enough for him alone. "If you're alive, it's because I said so. Don't waste it." A murmur rippled through the gathered men. Some scoffed, others shifted uneasily. Few had the appetite to cross a woman standing unflinching in the teeth of their fury. The sheriff sighed, a man too tired for more blood this evening. He holstered his pistol slow. "Take him, then. He's yours to keep. His sins'll find him soon enough." She slipped her arm beneath the man's, bearing more weight than her frame ought to, but she did not flinch. His strength had been drained by blood loss, yet he leaned into her steadiness as though testing whether she would break. She did not. The crowd thinned, mutters fading into the dusk. A boy chased after his father's boots, a drunk stumbled back toward the saloon, and the law turned away with a shrug heavy with resignation. Only the two of them remained at the street center, framed by dust and lantern smoke. The storm above rumbled, impatient. He tried to speak, his voice gravel rough from thirst and pain. Only one word came clear. "Why?" Her jaw tightened. She did not answer immediately, did not trust her voice to hold. Instead, she guided him step by step, the weight of him dragging, but the will in her spine holding true. At last, when the quiet swallowed them at the edge of town, she murmured, "Because someone once should have done the same for me." The road stretched before them, a ribbon of shadow lit faintly by the pale wash of moon through restless clouds. Each step was an argument against the night, against the mob, against the cruel arithmetic that said a man beaten and bloodied was worth less than his bounty. The outlaw's breath rattled, but his presence carried an odd gravity, like a mountain crumbling yet still refusing to fall. His silence pressed against her thoughts, demanding answers she could not yet give. Lightning split the horizon. The air smelled of rain and iron, sharp as a blade. She knew the storm would break before they reached shelter, but she did not slow. The crackle of thunder behind them sounded like a warning, or maybe a promise. They reached the old rail fence, broken boards groaning in the wind. She paused to catch her breath, her grip slipping as his weight bore harder. He steadied her with a glance more than a gesture, an unspoken recognition that though he was near collapse, he would not let her fall. For the first time that night, she felt the corner of her mouth twitch upward, a near smile at the absurdity of it. Saving him, carrying him, daring the whole town's wrath, madness, all of it. And yet, her heart knew no other choice. The rain came sudden and wild, soaking them through, drumming on the earth with relentless rhythm. It washed the blood from his face, streaking it across the mud, softening the cruel lines etched there. For an instant, he looked less like an outlaw and more like a man caught in the same storm as her. She pulled him closer beneath her arm, voice raised over the roar of the downpour. "Hold on. We're not finished yet." He gave no answer, only a faint nod, the weight of trust heavier than the rain itself. Together they vanished into the storm, leaving behind the echoes of gunfire that never came, the judgment of men who had already forgotten, and the faint lantern glow swallowed by the night. Ahead, the road promised danger, hardship, maybe ruin. Yet for the first time in years, she felt something stir beneath the scars of her weariness, something reckless and alive. The outlaw stumbled, caught himself, and met her gaze through the sheets of rain. No words passed between them, but the moment carried its own language, fragile, unspoken, and undeniable. The storm swallowed their silhouettes, but the fire sparked between them refused to go out.